Hello, precious humans. I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary, revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of June. Well, I'm recording it on the 7th. I'm going to give you some pins on the map that will start over the weekend, and we're going to go all the way through the summer solstice just so we can kind of ride some energy waves. A lot of you are reporting in that the energy has been pretty intense and yeah, a lot going on. I wish I could say it'll ease up, and it will. There will be moments that it will ease up, but at the same time, we are in some pretty intense times, and it's really an invitation to just keep practicing. And we have the skills, we have the tools, as you've heard me say just about on every video, that when we are learning new skills or we've acquired new skills, then the training ground or the dojo or however you want to call it reveals itself. It shows up for us so that we can practice those skills. So it's not for the faint of heart. I totally get that. I think the biggest thing is that we continue to lean in, let each other support one another, help out, talk where we need to talk and act where we need to act, and then be quiet where we need to be quiet. So in the video today, I want to, of course, pull a card from my Celtic Tarot deck and offer that. I just also want to acknowledge, thank you so much for your understanding, flexibility with me while I was serving in my role as staff director at Nine Gates Mystery School. It was such a beautiful time. The class is incredible. The staff was amazing. I'm so happy, of course, to be back home, starting back into my routine. It's been a little crazy, kind of re-entering. Those of you who follow me on 1-2 Radio, I do plan on being live on my radio show this coming Monday, the 10th. And summer is here, so there's going to be some time off, but there will also be ways in which I want to continue to connect with you. So thank you for your patience with these videos. I do often think about how I've dropped the ball a couple of times when it comes to like our new moon, full moon memes. I meant to get some out for you for the Gemini new moon that we just had on Thursday this week. It just wasn't in the cards, as they say. And I will say, though, that if you can bear with me and just keep riding these waves, that's how I can ask for support from you. And, like, subscribe, and share these videos if they're of benefit for you. Maybe they're benefit for somebody that you know as well. Really quick, if you haven't listened to my radio show, then you've missed out. I've been updating everybody on my tomato plants. I've got 3 of them on my balcony. I swear to you, when I bought them, they were literally this big, like a foot, maybe. And now I couldn't even fit them in my car. My beloved was watching them while I was gone, and I tried to get them in my car the other day to bring them back home, and they wouldn't fit. So I had to switch cars with them and transplant them here on my balcony. But now they are huge. I would say 4 feet tall at this point. And I've got these really good green tomatoes on one of them, and I'm so excited. So anyways, that's my little green thumb. And of course, my Cancer sun in me wants to nurture them. So I've named them. That's what I do. It's Amelia, Caroline, and Bastion. And yeah, they're just doing good. So thanks for that. So a couple of pins on the map. We now have Mercury in Gemini in its home sign, Venus in Gemini, the sun's in Gemini. So it's all this Gemini activity. And then Mars moves into Taurus on Sunday, the 9th. And before we dive into all of that, I like to do, like I say, the card of the week. I've been shuffling my Celtic deck and all that. And so let's just see here what is going to get revealed. Okay. The moon. There we go. All right. Very interesting, because this week in particular, I feel we are going to be facing our fears. We're going to be facing illusions. We're going to be worried a little bit about the unknown. The moon has all these phases, right, that it moves into. So there's some moodiness there. There's also, in astrology, the moon represents what we need to nurture ourselves, our subconscious habits, when we feel threatened or protective, how we normally react, if you will. A lot of our past comes up. With the moon card in tarot, then we are working with how we project our fear into our present and our future based on our past experiences. So there could be a painful memory, there could be emotional distress. And instead of dealing with those emotions, maybe we've pushed them down. But this week, we're going to have opportunities for us to face those fears. I was watching a movie, rewatching a movie that some of you may have seen, called Divergent. It's just one of those, I needed something sort of mindless that I enjoy watching. And the thing about Divergent that I appreciated was that in order for the faction called Dauntless, for the initiates to be accepted into that faction, they had to face their fears. But what they realized in the Divergent character was, in when she was going into her fears, she realized it wasn't real. It was all an hallucination. It was all made of the mind. Keep that in the forefront of this week. As things are coming to light, it's not always what it appears to be, and that our stories and our emotions and our ideas have a tendency to color our view and our reaction points. So what we're being invited into with the moon is to be in that in-between space, to let go of worry and fear around how something's going to show up for us, and work with what is true for me right now and what skills do I have to meet that right now. And that we're really able to trust our intuition, listen to our intuition, see beyond what's right in front of us. Remember, this is all projections of our mind that we are interpreting and misinterpreting. So we're working with what is really true in this moment. A gentle reminder, the stories we might be telling ourselves often are made up because we're trying to fill in the gap. If that individual that we're upset about, or that situation that we are worried about, hasn't directly said something to us, given us whatever that feedback might be, ask yourself, who told me that story? If I'm making it up, then oftentimes it's an illusion. Right. So we're setting intentions. We're watching ourselves really pay attention to where we put our attention, the stories we tell each other, and then using our skills to say, wait a minute, I don't have all the facts. Not everything here can be true. So patience, giving it spaciousness, asking the right questions, right? When the emotional body gets really activated, it's going to be important for us to distract ourselves if it's overwhelming and remove ourselves from the situation first and foremost. If you're not in overwhelm, then ground and come back to the discipline of the body. Come back to saying, wait a minute, I know my truth. I'm safe inside of myself. Now, what right action am I wanting to take in this particular situation? As we know that I mentioned earlier, we have all this Gemini energy. And when we have Gemini energy, there's a lot of, I'll say, scatteredness or sort of craziness. There's like the butterfly that flits and floats from one flower to another. There's all kinds of colors and things like that that can distract us. We're wanting to connect and have various conversations. You can see I obviously talk with my hands. I have Venus in Gemini, by the way. And so, our intellect, our mind is very stimulated during this time. And so we're going to be pretty busy, but in all of these distractions and all this busyness, we can often come to conclusions or make assumptions that aren't always true. So pay attention to that and enjoy the light side of the Gemini energy, which is connecting, which is being really surface oriented, like the dragonfly on the water. You're just kind of touching the surface. You're not going really deep and penetrating anything. And right now, that's what we need. Let go of trying to figure out the why and just be in the moment, have some lightness to it, bring in the humor, the youthfulness, the fun, and allow that to really penetrate, let that penetrate the fun part, all of your connections and your relationships. Remember, life is a game. We're playing a game in many ways. And I'm not saying that we're flippant about life and the negative things that are happening. But if we take it too seriously, we end up in a black hole that we just get stuck in. And we think this is all there is when it's not. There are infinite possibilities and many other activities that can take away or that can take the place of what's happening in the immediate. I mentioned that June 9th, Mars will enter the sign of Taurus. This creates an immediate square to Pluto, giving us a little more tension, and we're going to feel it through the weekend, more tension about facing our fears. Pluto is one that drudges up all of the things in our subconscious to work with. It's very much about the psyche, and it brings out the shadow. And when we have a square with activating action planet Mars, one that's driven to take action, reveals motivation, all of that. When you have this square going on, it often says, here's something I'm afraid of, or here's something that I want to happen. My desire is so strong with Pluto squaring off Mars here that I have to have this at all costs. And with Mars in Taurus, we can get very single-minded. We can get very fixed and stubborn about a particular thing that we want, and we may stop at nothing to get it. Now, while that helps with manifestation, we also have to be careful that we don't close ourselves off to other possibilities and we end up harming ourselves or someone else because we're trying to get what we want, right? So there's always that fine line, that razor's edge that we're working with. Some of the underlying motivation for taking action can come from fear. We can use fear in order to get us out of an inertia. If we have been stuck in, say, analysis paralysis, or we've been in this overwhelmed place, we can use the energy to push us forward and say, wait a minute, I can face this, and I can use my resources and the things that are available to me in order to have things revealed and to get moving again and to really manifest what it is I want. Maybe there's that courageous conversation that's coming into play that I can finally have, and I can stay in it instead of feeling a little rejection or feeling a little resistance from the other person or people. I can say, well, let's keep going. Let's dig under that a little bit more. Ask the right questions, right? Use that Gemini energy to stay curious. And I know this wrestling match is not for the faint of heart. But we will know that we've achieved victory because we will have moved on to the other side of this fear and really integrated a new reality that's being offered. Again, a reminder with Mars and Pluto here, we are not looking at having power over somebody. It's really about finding that truth within and finding that power within so that we're standing up for something, not necessarily against something. This is also a really good week to notice all the little things that take time to grow and nurturing them. We've planted the seeds at the Gemini new moon. We planted seeds back at the Taurus new moon in May. We've got all these opportunities that we've planted these seeds. Now we need to nurture them, give them the water, give them the sunlight, give them, talk nice to them. Or as one of my dear beloveds will say, talk dirty to them. They like it. Whatever your thing is, I think it's great. But, give it that energy. And what you can find is that all of these slugfest, if you will, if that's what it feels like, will pay off, and that we nurture ourselves through the process. Now, I'm moving forward to the following week, and right around the 17th, Mercury and Venus will then make their move into that nurturing, loving, protected, family-oriented sign of Cancer. And when these two planets hold hands, or maybe they shuffle like little crabs on the sand and into the water, all that, our thoughts, our communication within relationships and what we value become more about intimacy and nurturing what we love most about each other, what we love most about ourselves. We become much more sensitive to exterior energies. Our intuition's really high. So pay attention to that as we continue to be in the flow. The thing about the crab is that it can survive on land and water. And so it knows when to flow into the water and when to manifest some things out into the sand, and being in that space of back and forth, of integrating these two elements, if you will, the earth and the water together. Now, the other thing about this Cancer energy, along with Mars and Taurus, is that we can really find ourselves mothering, hopefully ourselves and others. We just got to be careful not to smother. Don't smother mother here. But we find ourselves being a little bit more nurturing during this time. And again, that's great when we're trying to help others feel loved. Just don't forget about letting yourself feel love as well. The other shadow side, if you will, to the Cancer energy is there can be a passive aggressiveness or some manipulation because we're looking for security. The crab has that pincher, it attaches once it says, this is what I'm going to hang on to. So we're in that place of watching how our emotions can drive us to attach to something that may not be the best thing for us. So trust that intuition. Again, if it doesn't feel right, let it go. And remember that quote that I do love. I think I brought it up at the full moon in Scorpio last month, and that was, pain is letting go. Letting go is painful, but hanging on is suffering. And so that's what we're going to be reminded of throughout the next couple of weeks as well. Being in the flow, letting go of the things that really are creating the suffering for us. We can't control the exterior. We can't control another person. So we're letting that go, letting that go. Watch for codependencies. I do want to point to relationships in general. I do feel as though this is a beautiful time for those singles to mingle, go to the weddings, go to the grad parties, go to the barbecues. I feel that's where you're going to meet your next partner. And those of you who are bonded, this can be a beautiful time to be able to come together more and appreciate that family time, that the things that energize you the most, bring out the best in you. I mentioned the summer solstice that happens when the sun moves into Cancer on the 20th. It's the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, and we can find ourselves more sentimental than usual. And we can draw our energy by spending time with family and friends who help us to feel safe, who actually aren't afraid to express that caring, nurturing nature. And we may find ourselves giving a little more than normal, and that's okay, because it will come from this natural wellspring of nurturing and of love and that motivation to make sure that others are taken care of. I see a lot of food involved in all of this, so enjoy it. Sunlight and sand, being on the beach, whatever it is that gives you that joy. I will be at my beautiful spot probably every weekend in Tahoe. So I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that you guys are able to find something that really brings you a lot of joy. And yeah, it looks like I didn't even check it. It looks like my video had gone off at one point. My Zoom seems to have a mind of its own, because I actually recorded a video 2 days ago and it didn't have sound. So I guess, sorry about that. Hopefully the sound has come through. I'm going to check that before I release it to my assistant, Joan. Thank you, Joan, for editing. And I do hope that you guys have a great week, that there was something helpful and beneficial from this video. Please find me at 12 Listen, 12 Radio. I'll be there Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And I'll keep doing these videos as long as I can. All right, you guys, have a great week. We'll talk soon.